Content warning. This audiobook contains strong language, sexual themes, supernatural elements, and graphic depictions of death. The author recommends this work for audiences aged 18 and over. If you let your 6-year-old listen, that's on you. Dark Matter, The Order of the Hidden Cross, by Ian Bailey, published by Ashlar Press. Copyright 2025. Uncouth Foreword, by Ian Bailey. Forewords are usually written by someone infamous, an accomplished author, a critic who's read more books than I've had hot dinners, or maybe a minor celebrity who once played a corpse in a crime drama. The kind of person who can say, "Trust me, this book is worth your time," with a straight face. Sadly, I don't know any of those people. Honestly, I'm not even sure my own friends would lie for me. So it's just me, Ian Bailey, doing the honors. If you're wondering, is this allowed? Can he write his own foreword? The answer is technically no. But when there is nobody else around, you get to bend a few rules. Think of it like eating cake for breakfast when no one's around to judge you. Or, in my case, eating cake for breakfast because no one else is around at all. I'm writing my own introduction because Ian does what Ian wants, and really, who's going to stop me? Writing Dark Matter was a bit like wandering through a haunted house, sometimes thrilling, sometimes confusing, and frequently making me question my life choices. For the foreword, you're supposed to have someone who knows you well explain to the reader how the author overcame great obstacles, suffered for their art, and ultimately emerged triumphant. But let's be real. I didn't conquer my demons. I invited them in, made them a cup of tea, and they've been hanging around ever since, living in my head rent-free and making sarcastic comments when I'm trying to work. If you were hoping for an inspiring tale of perseverance, well, you're definitely in the wrong place. This book was born out of late-night conversations with my personal darkness, where we'd swap stories, make terrible decisions, and occasionally stare into the abyss until it stared back, except the abyss didn't just stare, it winked and whispered, "I've got an idea." What's Dark Matter about, you ask? Well, it's a bit like life. Dark, a bit messy, occasionally funny, and full of questionable themes. Imagine the sort of existential crisis that creeps up on you around 2 a.m. when you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and seriously considering whether or not you should just disappear into the woods and live off canned beans for the rest of your life. It's that feeling, but on paper. I wrote this book during a time when things were, let's just say, not going great. Not the kind of not great where you turn to your favorite comfort show and eat an entire pizza in one sitting, but more the kind where you find yourself seeking answers to questions you have not even thought about yet. Mind spinning so fast you can't even tell it's spinning. Look, I'm not going to pretend Dark Matter is a literary masterpiece, nor can I promise you'll love it. Hell, I can't even promise it'll make sense. But if you're into dark themes, a bit of existential dread, and metaphors that punch you in the gut when you least expect it, then welcome aboard. And if you were hoping for a foreword written by a literary icon, just close your eyes and imagine I'm one of those mysterious, reclusive authors who never leave their mansion except to deliver cryptic quotes in interviews that end up as viral posts on social media. If it helps, picture me as the kind of person who'd write at a dusty old desk by candlelight, even though there's perfectly good electricity, because it makes the shadows dance just right. So, if you're still here and not already regretting your decision to pick up this book, I'll say this. Grab a drink, perhaps something strong, find a comfortable spot, and settle in. We're going to explore some dark corners together, and maybe we'll find a few new demons along the way. Probably the kind you shouldn't admit exist in polite company, but who cares? It's just us here, right? Welcome to Dark Matter. It's strange, chaotic, and definitely a little unhinged, but so am I. And if you've stuck around this long, Maybe you are too. In which case, I think we're going to get along just fine. Tea. Chapter 1. The Night of Shadows and Storms. The baby's first cry split the night like a war horn, a sound too fierce, too primal to belong to a newborn. The village of Kul lay submerged in darkness, cloaked in a thick, oppressive blackness that stretched out like a suffocating blanket. The rain, relentless and cold, came down in sheets, turning the ground to slick mud, as though the earth itself was sinking under the weight of something ancient and terrible. Joshua came into the world wet, screaming, and covered in blood and afterbirth. His voice pierced the night, too loud, too wild, a cry not of life but of defiance. His mother, Zivah, lay on the muddy roadside, clutching him to her chest, desperate to quiet him. Fear surged in her chest as the world seemed to press in around her, the shadows watching, waiting. The more he cried, the more the night stirred. But the baby would not be silenced. Thunder rolled in the distance, but there was no comfort in its sound. The storm was no ordinary storm either. The rain did not fall to nourish or cleanse. It fell like daggers from the sky, cold and sharp, each drop biting into her skin. How much longer could she endure this? Every drop felt like a judgment, like the world itself was rebelling against her child. The wind howled like a wounded animal, shrieking through the trees with a voice full of rage, full of warning. The night itself felt alive, crawling with unseen things that moved just beyond the edge of vision, hidden but present, lurking beneath every shadow. We watched them. You might be wondering who we are, and it is only fair that you know who is telling you this tale. We are the unspoken, the unseen. We are the keepers of all secrets, all thoughts, all memories. We are your desires, your regrets, your fantasies, and your nightmares. We are the memory keepers, and our task is simple, to remember. We are your indictment, the eternal witnesses to your deeds, your sins, your hidden truths. We do not judge, but we do not forget. This account is not just about a child. It is about a child who knew too much about us, a child who knew how to manipulate us. We do not like to admit this, but we cannot lie. We are everything you think, everything you dream, everything you wish to hide, as beautiful and as ugly as it may be. And this memory, this one tale, is important for you to know. Those who do not remember their history are bound to repeat it. So do with it what you will. Zivah's breath came shallow and quick. She was alone on the side of a road, a screaming child in her arms, and a growing sense of dread creeping over her. The sky above her was a roiling mass of black clouds, thick and churning like smoke from a great fire. No stars shone down upon her, no light pierced the heavy veil of the storm. The moon, once full and bright, had been swallowed by the darkness, leaving her stranded in a world that no longer felt her own. Her mind drifted to Asher, the man who left when she needed him most. 3 months pregnant, and he couldn't accept her truth. Or maybe she couldn't accept it herself. A good man by all accounts, steady job, reliable, until the news that she carried a child shattered everything. But it wasn't Asher's abandonment that haunted her now. It was the child she'd given birth to, the child who shouldn't be here. It was all a dream, she had told Asher, tears in her eyes, pleading. I swear it was just a dream. But Asher had not believed her. He couldn't, and Zivah wasn't sure if she believed herself. We remember that night. We remember everything. For we are the unseen witnesses to all that has been and all that will be. We are your thoughts, your desires, your regrets. We hold your secrets, those you have hidden even from yourself. We do not judge, but we remember. And so we have come to remember him. The wind carried with it the stench of rot, damp earth, and something else, something older, fouler. It was the scent of decay, of things long buried in the depths of the earth, things that should never have seen the light of day. Whispers echoed through the trees, voices that belonged to neither man nor beast. They slithered through the air like serpents, curling around her, crawling beneath her skin. Zivah's eyes darted around, heart pounding in her chest. The rain offered no comfort. The darkness felt thick, almost tangible, like it could swallow her whole. Every tree looked gnarled, twisted, as if straining toward her, stretching skeletal branches out to pluck the life from her. Flesh-eaters roam here, she thought, trying to still her son's cries. But she could not still her own terror. Her mind raced, filled with images of fangs and claws hidden in the gloom, waiting for the right moment to strike. Zivah looked eastward. The storm was building, a violent, living thing. Black clouds blotted out the horizon, flickering with sickly green lightning, casting the world in eerie flashes that made the trees look like jagged teeth. She tried to calm herself, to soothe her child, but her thoughts returned to those dark memories she couldn't shake. 3 months pregnant, Asher had left her. 3 months pregnant, and she swore no man had ever touched her. Her body, swelling with life, waged war against her own understanding, while a storm of fragmented memories lashed at her mind, each shadowed whisper more chilling than the last, hinting at truths too terrifying to grasp. But now, in the dead of night, that mystery seemed small compared to the things she sensed closing in. The air around her thickened with an unnatural chill. Shadows began to move with purpose. Zivah blinked, certain her mind was playing tricks on her, but the dark shapes continued to shift, edging closer. Creatures, grotesque and impossible, slithered out of the blackness, their translucent forms pulsating with an unnatural glow, wings like torn parchment rustling in the storm's wind. Some with horns, some with eyes like hollow voids. Their forms rippled as if they were made of the night itself, as if they were stitched together from pieces of the darkness. They moved between the trees, merging with the gloom, but she could feel them. Their gaze was not on her. It was on the child. They had come to see him. A particularly ghastly one, a beast of many eyes and wings like torn parchment, hovered near. Zivah's breath caught in her throat, her body trembling. She pressed her back against the nearest tree, desperate to hide, desperate for protection, but there was none. Her body had given all it could in the birth, and now it left her weak. She was too close to death, closer than she had ever been. We watched her, but we did not interfere. We do not control the threads of fate. We only watch as they unravel. But the others, they did not come to harm. They too came to witness. Zivah's mind swirled with confusion and fear. I must be dying, she thought. I'm hallucinating. I must be. She began to faint, consciousness slipping, when one of the creatures, a being of impossible size and form, came closer. It loomed over her, its breath like ice on her skin. It leaned in close enough to pierce her with its hollow eyes, and whispered something ancient, something that froze her bones and stilled her heart. At that very moment, a lightning bolt violently crashed down upon them, piercing into her very soul. The words spoken by the creature filled her with a sudden and powerful surge of energy, a healing force from the old ways, one that she desperately needed. It was as though the earth itself had lent its strength, weaving her back from the brink of death. We should note that this type of magic comes at a great personal cost to the one who speaks it. This incantation is not something to be uttered lightly, for with every word the speaker relinquishes part of their existence, an irreversible sacrifice. Once spoken, they are lost to the realms beyond this world, gone forever. This creature, for all its darkness, has given the last of itself to save her. The creature pulled away, its monstrous eyes still fixed on the child. The other beings, now more like shadows than forms, watched from the edges of the world. They knew the risks. They had seen this before. Did it work? I think so. We'll soon find out. Zivah collapsed into a deep sleep. Without warning, another bolt of lightning crashed from the heavens, striking the earth just feet away, lighting the scene in a brief, violent flash. The creature, the monstrous thing that had whispered to her, vanished. In its place, the others circled the child, whispering, murmuring, paying tribute. Joshua opened his eyes, their gaze sharper than any newborn's. The guttural sounds he made were no cries, they were commands. And the creatures bowed, shadows folding low, as if before their sovereign. We knew then what he was. He spoke with authority beyond his years, beyond time. He spoke with the knowledge of the forgotten, those banished to the space between life and death. He spoke to us, and we listened. By the time Zivah woke, the beasts had retreated to the shadows. Her vision blurred. Her body felt like it was no longer hers. Was it a dream? She wondered. The memory felt strange, distant, as though the world itself had shifted in her absence. But no, there were footprints in the mud, strange, inhuman footprints, and the storm had calmed. The baby stirred in her arms, no longer crying. The world was silent, too silent. Suddenly, 3 figures emerged from the darkness, hunched over, squinting through the rain. They were human, that much Zivah could tell, but her heart still raced. Could they be trusted? "Miss, are you all right? We thought we heard a baby out here," one of the men shouted. As they approached, Zivah could make out their faces, 3 rough-looking men, soaked from the storm. The one who spoke, Luke, crouched by her side. "I'm a doctor," he said, looking at the baby still attached by the umbilical cord. "Let me help you." Simon, the second man, squinted at her through the rain. "Bloody hell, she's just given birth right out here on the street." He glanced at the baby, still covered in muck. "That one's got a set of lungs on him." "Simon, stop gawking and go get my medical bag," Luke snapped, not taking his eyes off Zivah. "We need to get her cleaned up before infection sets in." Simon grumbled under his breath as he turned to run back to the house. Fucking kids. Always at the worst time. The third man, Tom, stood awkwardly, shifting his weight from foot to foot. "What do we do now? I've never, done this." "Grab some towels and help me clean the baby," Luke instructed as he worked quickly, cutting the umbilical cord. The moment the cord was severed, a strange stillness settled over them. The rain stopped midair, the wind fell silent, and the baby let out a single piercing scream. Tom stared at the child, his hands trembling. Did you see that?" "It's like the storm," responded to him. Soon after, Simon returned, out of breath, holding the medical bag. He stumbled backwards, his voice breaking. "That kid, what the hell is he? It's like he's not human." The baby fell silent, its eyes fixing on Simon with an intensity that made his breath catch. Simon staggered back, his face pale. "What the hell? It's like he's looking through me." Luke didn't answer. He worked with methodical precision, but even he couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. "Let's get her cleaned up and get them inside. We'll figure this out later." Zivah's breathing grew shallow, her body suddenly tense. She grimaced and gasped, clutching her stomach. It's still inside me," she murmured, her face pale with exhaustion and pain. Luke's expression darkened as he glanced down. "The placenta. It hasn't been delivered yet." His hands moved quickly, pressing down on Zivah's abdomen, trying to help her expel it. Zivah let out a groan of agony. The pressure was unbearable. She felt her insides shift, felt something tugging at her core. Her body, already weak, protested violently, but it wasn't over yet. "Stay with me, Zivah," Luke said, his voice low but urgent. "You have to push." "One more time. You need to get it out." Zivah's grip tightened on the baby as she braced herself for one final push. The world around her spun, the darkness deepening, and the whispers returned, harsher now, darker, as if the earth itself demanded a price for the child she had birthed. She clenched her teeth, her entire body convulsing with effort. A sudden gush of blood and fluids followed, and the placenta slipped out in a sickening, wet mass. Tom flinched at the sight, his face pale, while Simon turned away, muttering something under his breath. "There you go," Luke said, his voice softening. "It's done." Zivah collapsed back, gasping for breath, her vision blurry. The shadows around them seemed to pull back, receding, satisfied for the moment. But the air still hummed with a strange tension, and though the storm had lessened, the sky above them remained black, as if the night itself was waiting, watching. The baby stirred in her arms, no longer crying but awake. His eyes gleamed in the darkness, sharp and aware, far too aware for a newborn. "Joshua," Zivah whispered, barely able to speak. "His name is Joshua. Joshua Carpenter." Tom glanced down at the baby, who now wore an odd, knowing smile. "Joshua Carpenter, huh? Weird choice." "Just help me with the towels, Tom," Luke muttered, shaking his head. The beasts that had watched from the shadows retreated further, unseen by the men. But Zivah saw them, and so did Joshua. "We did not interfere, but we knew then this child would not walk the path of mortals, and the night had only begun to tell its story. This chapter may have ended, but the story doesn't. Return next Monday for what waits in the dark. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and leave a comment to share what the shadows may have whispered to you.